Most people say you need a team. They say you can't make it on your own. They'll tell you success requires connections, supporters, networks. But let me tell you something real, something they never say out loud. The strongest journeys, they start alone. The greatest warriors train in empty dojos. The sharpest minds are forged in silence. And the most unbreakable spirits, they are built when no one is watching. This isn't about isolation forever. It's about embracing solitude as the forge where fire and steel collide. Where you are shaped into something extraordinary. Look back at history. Every legend you admire walked this path. A phase of pure focus. A season of isolation. When they walked away from the crowd to find their edge. They didn't wait for applause. They built without praise. They worked when nobody cared. Why? Because solitude breeds power. When you're alone, you learn how to stand. And I'm not talking about standing physically. I'm talking about standing in truth, in integrity, in pain, in purpose. Because when there's no one to lean on, you stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You become the rescuer. You don't ask, will someone help me? You start asking, how far can I go on my own? It's not easy. You'll doubt yourself. You'll wonder if you're crazy for walking this road solo. But deep down, you'll know this is exactly where you need to be. Because every time you take a step without a cheer, you build power. Every time you push forward without applause, you grow something no one can give you, self-reliance. Not the fake kind that people post about, the real kind. The kind that comes from quiet mornings and hard nights, from crying alone and still choosing to keep going. You start showing up, not because someone's watching, but because you are watching. That's when you build real confidence. Not the kind that relies on compliments, not the kind that fades when things go wrong. This is the kind of confidence forged in silence. Earned, not gifted. Tested, not talked about. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting to be seen. You begin moving like a storm that doesn't need validation. Bain once said, "You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it." That's what solitude does. It molds you. It burns away the weakness. It forces you to listen to your own thoughts. It forces you to lead yourself. That is the beginning of power. But here's the truth most people never admit. Not in interviews, not in highlight reels, not in motivational speeches. Every success story has a middle chapter, and it's not glamorous. It's not loud. It doesn't come with claps or camera angles. It's lonely, it's brutal, it's silent. That's the part nobody talks about, because it's the part that breaks most people. It's the chapter after the beginning, but before the breakthrough. It's where you've already decided to change. You've started showing up. You're waking up earlier. You're training harder. You're reading when others are scrolling. You're thinking deeper. You're shedding the parts of yourself that kept you small. But here's the catch. You're not there yet. You're not that future version of yourself. You haven't crossed the mountain. You're still climbing. You're stuck in the in-between. You've outgrown your old life, but haven't fully stepped into the new one. It's a strange space, and it's painful. Your old friends, they don't recognize you anymore. They mock the books you're reading. They question why you're disappearing. They laugh when you skip the party or pass on the gossip or say no to the old habits, and they'll say it like an insult. You've changed. And they're right. You have. But here's what they won't say. Not out loud. Not to your face. You're evolving. You're growing. And it makes them uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because you're doing something they haven't had the courage to do. You're rising. And every step you take upward reminds them of the steps they're still avoiding. See this middle chapter? It's not just lonely because you're alone. It's lonely because you're leaving behind a version of yourself that kept you safe, but also kept you stuck. You're grieving a life that no longer fits, a mindset that once served you, but now limits you. You're shedding your skin. You're stepping into your unknown, and no one can do that part for you. It's just you. You in the silence. You in the doubt. You in the slow, steady walk through the fire of your own transformation. This is the part where most people go back. Not because they're weak, but because the middle chapter feels endless. It's the chapter without applause, without recognition, without proof that it's all going to work out. But here's what I'll tell you. If you're in this place right now, if you're feeling that pull to retreat, don't. Because this middle chapter, it's not a detour. It's not a mistake. It's the path. This discomfort is the exact signal that you're stepping out of who you were and into who you're meant to be. And if you can keep walking, even when no one understands, even when no one claps, even when the voice in your head whispers, maybe you should just go back, you will emerge on the other side with something most people never find. A self that was forged in fire. A soul that knows its own strength. And a story that no one can take from you. Because you didn't just arrive, you endured. And when you stand at the top, you'll remember the silence that shaped you. You'll remember the empty rooms, the early mornings, the doubt-filled nights. And you'll know exactly why you made it. Because you were willing to walk through the middle chapter most people avoid. And that is why you'll never go back. This middle chapter is where most people quit. And not because they're lazy, not because they didn't want it bad enough, but because it's lonely, because it's quiet, because nobody claps in this part of the journey. There's no cheering crowd when you decide to stay home and study. No applause when you show up to the gym at 5 a.m. in the dark. No camera rolling when you say no to the party so you can get one step closer to your goal. It's just you. You. The silence and the weight of everything you've left behind. You're building a new self, brick by brick, but no one sees that part. And that's what makes it so hard. Because deep down, we all want to be understood. We all want someone to say, I see you, I get it, keep going. But in this chapter, that rarely happens. You'll look around and realize you're not like most people anymore. The conversations don't hit the same. The jokes don't land the same. You feel distant from the world you used to belong to, and the temptation to go back, it creeps in quietly. You start thinking, maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm being extreme. Maybe I just need to be more normal. Because being normal means comfort. It means being accepted. It means being liked again. So most people, good people, quit. Not because they're weak, but because they can't bear to walk alone. They go back to the comfort zone. Back to the old habits. Back to being liked. Back to fitting in with people they've already outgrown. And for a moment it feels good, familiar, safe. But deep down something starts to ache. A quiet voice begins to whisper, you gave up too soon. Because here's the hard truth. That lonely middle chapter, it's not a mistake. It's not a detour. It's not a glitch in your story. That is the path. That silence, that disconnection, that uncertainty, it's not a sign you're off course. It's a sign you're finally stepping onto your real one. Every champion walks through this tunnel. Every warrior, every leader, every visionary. There is no version of greatness without this part. And if you're there now, if the nights are quiet and long, if the silence feels deafening, if you're starting to wonder if this is all a waste of time, let me tell you something real. That's your sign you're doing it right, because this is what transformation looks like. It's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not filtered or curated for Instagram. It's raw, it's personal, it's deeply uncomfortable, but it's also powerful. Because right now, when nobody's watching, you're building something the world can't see yet. You're creating strength most people won't understand. You're developing habits that will carry you when motivation fades. You're becoming the person that your future life will require. So don't mistake this silence for failure. It's the sound of progress happening in real time. And one day, when the world sees what you've become, when they admire your strength, your calm, your discipline, they won't know what it took to get there, but you will. Because you walked through the tunnel, and you didn't turn back. Now keep going, because the next part, it's where you start becoming undeniable. We live in a world that glorifies shortcuts. Get a mentor. Follow this formula. Buy this system, and success is guaranteed. And look, I'm not against guidance. But somewhere along the way, we forgot the power of figuring it out yourself. Everyone wants a map, but no one wants to take the machete and cut their way through the jungle. And that's the problem. Because when you always outsource your thinking, when you rely on others to tell you when to start, how to move, what to believe, you never build the one thing that actually creates real transformation: internal strength. When you train without a spotter, when no one's there to catch the bar, to scream one more rep, to clap when you finish, you either crumble or you become unshakable. That's where the toughness is built, in silence, in solitude, in the moments where the only person holding you up is you. When you win without cheers, when you achieve something and there's no one watching, no one clapping, that's when you learn to find fuel in your own fire. That's when the motivation stops being external and becomes personal. You stop needing applause. You stop chasing praise. You do it for something deeper, because you refuse to stay average. When you suffer in silence and keep going anyway, when you drag yourself through the darkest days without complaint, that's when grit is formed. Real grit. The kind that can't be bought. The kind that no coach, no system, no group chat can give you. David Goggins said it best. No one helped me get there. No one paid my bills. No one ran those miles. I suffered on my own and developed this man. That's not ego. That's evolution. That's what happens when you stop waiting for someone to save you, and you decide to become your own savior. You take ownership. You take the hits. You don't flinch. You rebuild. You look in the mirror and say, "This is all I've got, so I'll make it enough." That is the kind of power most people will never know, because most people never walk that road. But you're not most people. You're building something stronger. You're not becoming reliant. You're becoming resilient. And that difference, that's everything. There's something sacred about training at 3 a.m. Not because the stars align, not because the hour is magical, but because of what it means. The world is asleep, and you're not. Everyone else is dreaming. You're out here building. No noise, no distractions, just the hum of silence and your heartbeat pushing forward. When the streets are empty, when your phone is quiet, when no one is around to clap for you or question you, that's where the edge is carved. That's where you sharpen your focus like a blade, where every drop of sweat becomes a vow, where every rep, every page, every painful step is a silent promise. I'm not here to be like them. See, there's a difference between working hard and working in the dark. The dark doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter you. It doesn't reward you instantly. It humbles you. It isolates you, and it transforms you. And yes, others will call you crazy. They'll say you're obsessed, too intense, too committed, too far gone. Let them. They laugh now because they don't understand. They don't hear the war in your chest. They don't see the version of you that's rising in silence. Let them sleep. Let them mock. Let them stay soft. Because while they chase comfort, you're chasing something greater. Mastery, power, freedom. And none of that is found in ordinary routines. None of that is found when you follow the herd. Extraordinary results demand extraordinary effort. If you want what the average man fears, you have to do what the average man avoids. If you want to rise above the noise, you must first learn how to thrive in silence. So wake up at 3 a.m. Train when no one's watching. Work in the shadows. Because when the light comes, you won't just shine, you'll blind them. But there's a brutal truth you must understand. People want you to succeed, but not more than them. When you're struggling, they'll support you. Go for your dreams, they say. But when you start winning, when your results start shining, watch the tone change. Oh, you've changed. Must be nice. You think you're better now? Listen to me. People love the underdog, but they resent the champion. And that's why you must become your own biggest supporter. Because the crowd's approval is temporary. Your self-belief, that has to be permanent. You want to find your true self? Go be alone. With no distractions, no filters, no noise, just you and you. Most people avoid this because they don't want to face what's really inside. But you're different. You're here because something in you is ready. You're here because your soul is asking for more. Every time you train alone, suffer alone, work without credit, you are building something rare. You are building a foundation no one can shake. That's why the higher you rise, the fewer companions you have. The air gets thinner at the top. Not everyone will make the sacrifices. Not everyone will walk away from comfort. But you will. That's what makes you different. Distraction is easy. Depth is rare. Solitude is the only environment where deep work happens. No notifications, no chatter, just mastery. This is how you compress years into months. This is how you pull ahead without noise. While the world scrolls, you build. And when there's no one watching, that's when self-motivation becomes your superpower. You push without praise. You rise without why, without reward. You move because it's who you are. And when the moment finally comes, when the world finally notices, you don't even need the applause because you were already built in the dark. Kobe Bryant said, "Obsession comes in the small details nobody pays attention to." You've been building in silence. Now you're ready to rise in power. So here's your reminder. The one you needed today. The one the world won't give you. You don't need anyone to clap for you. You don't need anyone to post about your effort. You don't need anyone to tell you you're on the right path. Because you already know. You don't need validation to be valuable. You don't need applause to stay committed. And you sure as hell don't need permission to rise. What you need is courage to face the silence, discipline to keep showing up, and vision to remember where you're going even when no one else sees it. Because most won't understand your journey. They'll question your silence. They'll misunderstand your focus. They'll call your sacrifice extreme, but they don't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They don't carry the fire you carry. And most of all, They're not willing to walk alone, but you are. That's what separates you. Anyone can talk when the crowd is cheering. Anyone can move when the path is smooth. But few, very few, will walk the path when it's silent, cold, and thankless. That's where greatness is born. In the emptiness, in the quiet suffering, in the moments when nobody's watching, but you show up anyway. Because you don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. Every early morning you drag yourself out of bed. Every night you grind while others sleep. Every moment you resist comfort and choose discipline. You're not just building skill. You're forging a weapon. You're becoming something the world can't ignore, because the empty gym, the silent mornings, the lonely grind, they're not signs of failure. They are the fire that will shape your edge. The world will only see the result. But you know the process, and that's why you'll win. Do it alone now, so you can stand apart later. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Now train it like one.